Thank you for joining today's webinar. Just to introduce myself, I'm Sri Neve. I'm the BI specialist with ClicData, and I'll be giving you guys a quick overview on ClicData. A few things that we'll be talking today is about ClicData, who we are, how we started, what we do. And then we'll focus on a few features on ClicData. Typically, in terms of connecting to analytics, I'll show you how you can use the normal Google Analytics connector that we have to connect. And we also have an advanced analytic connector. So I'm going to show you how you guys can start connecting your analytics data to ClicData. We'll talk a bit about data standardization and normalization, how ClicData can be used to cleanse your data to get a good view. We'll focus on features for region map and location map, and I'll talk a bit more about our new upcoming feature, that is widget visibility. About ClicData, today we are having around 17,000 users on ClicData. We have more than 45,000 dashboards published every day, and we have been growing and being used in 47 different countries all over. We started off with a simple motive. We believe that the BI tool today is quite complex, and we knew that we could create a product that is easy to use, simple and quick for anyone without the need of any special ID person. You can go to ClicData, connect your data, and get started by creating a dashboard within a few minutes. We wanted you guys to have the capability to create your own dashboards, manage your own business with ease. And that's why we built ClicData. Our motto will remain the same: try to make ClicData as easy as possible for everyone, so anyone can start using ClicData without any advanced setup. Along the same line, as I mentioned what our motto was, that's why it's again kept simple. All we do is 4 steps in terms of connecting your data to creating a dashboard. The first step is connect your data, so you can connect your data from various data sources. We have different applications that we connect to. Once you have connected the data, ClicData also acts as a data warehouse, data mart for you. We have ETL features where you can combine different data sources into one single data set. And finally, you can start creating live dashboards, interactive dashboards, which you can ultimately collaborate with your colleagues. Talking about data warehouse, what is data warehouse exactly? So data warehouse would be one place where you bring all your data sources together. You don't need to go to different applications to get access to different data. And that's what ClicData does for you. We connect to a multiple application, as you can see on the screen right now. We connect to a normal Excel CSV file. We connect to your cloud drives like SkyDrive, Dropbox, Google Drive. We also connect to CRM applications like Insightly, Pipedrive, Salesforce. We also start connecting to social media application. If you have something on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, you can bring over that data as well. And we also connect to databases. So if you have all your data on a SQL server, or you have all your data on Oracle, we allow you to connect to those databases as well. Thus, you get one single point of your data access where you connect everything, and ultimately you just go to ClicData and you have all your data ready there to be shared with others, to be transformed, or to combine with different data sources. Now, just a quick background on what is a dashboard. A dashboard is quite vital to your business. Whenever it's almost like a dashboard on a aircraft, you look at the dashboard on an aircraft and you know what each and every part of your aircraft is doing. If there is any emergencies that you need to take care of, or if there is anything that is happening that needs to be monitored. Exactly the same thing for your business. Dashboard gives you a good perspective of your day-to-day activities on your business. Looking at a dashboard, you should be able to easily judge what is happening to your business and if your business is doing good or not. A dashboard gives you a clear indication of what action needs to be taken. Once you look at a KPI, if you see that the KPI is not performing as expected, a dashboard should be able to provide you with detailed information of what actions need to be taken. And that's the reason a dashboard is important for your business, because every day you cannot work with data. You cannot go back to your data and keep looking at your numbers. You need one single place which you can access at any point of time. You look at the dashboard and you can easily take decisions for your business and understand if your business is doing well or not. We've been asked about this question a lot. We work with data, and at ClicData, since this is our prime job, working with your data, we make sure that we take extreme measures to have your data secured. We host with Microsoft Azure in their different data centers across the world, and we are compliant with any Microsoft Azure certificates like ISO 2700, HIPAA certification, SOC certification. We take extreme measures to make sure that your data is secured and it is accessible only by you and by you only. Just to sum it up, as a ClicData overview, I've already told you what we do, how we go ahead, and what are the 4 steps on ClicData. In terms of key advantages on ClicData is the price point. We have an accessible price point. We start off with a $50 subscription, and based on your requirements, you could go ahead with our different subscription levels. We are also available in multiple languages, so based on what language you're comfortable with, you could choose which language you want your application to be and then start working on the application. And we provide one single point of we provide an end-to-end tool. So you not only connect to data sets, you cleanse your data, you transform your data, you create your dashboards, you collaborate your dashboards, and if need be, users can start commenting on your dashboard. So you have one single place of access for everything that is related to your data and to your reports. Having said this, a quick thing on what we'll talk about today during the live demo. So I'm going to start off with the live demo now. We'll discuss about connecting to analytics, data standardization and normalization, region map, location map, and a sneak peek into our widget visibility. Now I'll just, at any point of time, if you guys have any question, please feel free to go ahead and type in your questions. I'll be happy to answer them as I see your questions pop up. I'm just going to wait for a minute more for our colleagues who have just recently joined in to get started on their webinar before I go to the live demo. For those of you who have not yet signed up on ClicData, you can sign up with a free account on ClicData. All you have to do is go to clicdata.com/signup, and you can fill up the form and get started with your free account right here. All those who have already signed up on ClicData, you know about the interface already. I'm just going to give a quick overview about the interface for other users who have not signed up. Once you sign up on ClicData, once you log in on ClicData, this is the first home screen that you access on ClicData, where you can access all your dashboards. You have a dashboard tab where you can create new dashboards or access existing dashboards. You can start connecting your data by clicking on the data tab. We work with multiple connections, so all you need to do is click on add new, select a connection, and add that particular connection. As I mentioned earlier, we also work a lot on collaboration. So this is your automation piece where you can start collaborating your work with your colleagues. You can set up data refresh. You can set up a dashboard publication. And you can also manage different users that you have on your account. So in case you need to invite your clients, in case you need to invite your colleagues, you can manage your users from here. And for all the first-time users and existing users, if you guys have any questions, you can always raise support tickets. Don't hesitate to open support tickets at ClicData, and we'll be happy to answer them. As today's webinar is more focused on Google Analytics, I'll start off by explaining how we work with Google Analytics connection, how you can connect your Google Analytics account to ClicData. The first step is you click on Add New, you select Add New Connection, and you would notice that we have two analytics connector. We have a Google Analytics connector and we have a Google Analytics query connector. A Google Analytics connector, the first one is a basic connector, which we have simplified for everyone. So you don't need to know any kind of query language. All you need to do is select that connector, and using a simple UI, you can connect your traffic data, e-commerce data, AdSense data. I'll start off with that connector. So in case you need to connect your Google Analytics account, you just go ahead and select that particular connector. First step is to authorize the connection. So click on authorize to authorize the connection. Allow ClicData to have access to your Google Analytics account. Once you have done that, you click on next, and now you can start accessing the different web pages that you manage on your analytics account. I have multiple web pages. For the demo, I'm going to pull data from one of my website. So I select that particular website, and after you select, we show you a quick small dashboard in terms of how your website is performing, and we give you an idea on what are the different KPIs that you could build by using that particular website. You need to now select, do you want daily data? Do you want monthly data? So let's say if you want a monthly data, you go ahead and select month. And now you go ahead and select when do you want to start the data from? Do you want to start the data from the start of this year? Go ahead and select that particular year and month. You click next, and now you have a UI to select what kind of data you want to pull in. So let's say I want to pull in traffic information. I go ahead and select traffic. I select the different dimensions and metrics. So I would like to track based on different countries and let's say based on different browser type, which browser type are accessing my data, and based on different device category. So I select those dimensions. Now I select the metrics that I need to track. So I'm just going to focus on users, new users, page sessions, transactions, and transaction revenues. I select those metrics, and now I click on next. Give a name to my data set. So this is my Google Analytics traffic data. And I click next to upload this data to ClicData. At this point, I can choose to automate this entire process. If I want this data to be refreshed on a daily basis, I simply add a schedule, and this data is now refreshed on a daily basis. Once you have done that, in case you need to add another data set, you don't need to go through the entire connection again. You already have a Google connection established. You just select that particular connection, select a website, and repeat the process for what kind of data you want to pull over. And just to give you an idea about what are the different data options that you have while connecting on ClicData, you have an option to select traffic, you have the option to select AdSense, AdWords, e-commerce. You have a bunch of different categories that you could choose based on your requirements and what kind of activities you need to track. You just have to make the right selection. We also have another connector, which is our Google Analytics query connector. This one is for more advanced user who would like to create their own custom view and build up a table or import a table from Google Analytics according to that view. Again, you don't need to know any kind of query language. Google has done a really good job on having a nice UI to create the query for you. All you have to do is go ahead and select the connector. You authorize the connection. Once you have authorized the connection, you just click on next. At this point, you need to add a query from your Google Analytics. And if you're not familiar on how to write queries, just click on the Query Explorer, which takes you exactly to the Query Explorer on Google Analytics. You just have to select what kind of query you want to build. So let's say, again, from my website, I would like to get data for the last 30 days. I would like to select measures like users, new users. If I want something else, I would like to also get sessions. So I go ahead and select my sessions. I have the sessions. I also would like to see the bounces. So I go ahead and select the bounce, and I get the bounce rate. Further, I can select what kind of dimensions do I want to measure. I want the medium. Do I also want the category? I can go ahead and select the category. Or do I want location? I can select location. Just make the right selection. Once you have done the right selection, you run query, and A query is generated for you with the data that you need. You have a direct link to this report and an API query URL. We use the API query URL. So all you need to do is copy this URL. Once you have copied this URL, go back to ClicData and you paste this URL right here and you click on Preview. Now the table that you've already created using the query language is imported to ClicData. It's a one-time process. You click Next, give a name to your data set. So this is my traffic data query. I click Next. And again, I can set up automation to this entire process. I can set up a schedule. I want this data to be refreshed on a daily basis, and every day this data is going to be refreshed now. So this is about how we connect to Google Analytics using the normal UI connector, or how we connect to Google Analytics using the query design mode. Once you have connected and once you have your data brought across to ClicData, you could start building up dashboards based on that particular data set. I'm not going to talk a lot about the dashboard. The agenda talks about creating region map and location map, but just to give you an idea of what kind of dashboard you can create on ClicData, this is a sample that we've created. You can have different charts representing your traffic data, how your traffic is doing on a daily basis, where your traffic is coming in from. Is it organic, direct? Once you select, you can have the entire dashboard behave accordingly. So this is an example of Google Analytics dashboard that you can end up creating on ClicData using a Google Analytics connector. Not only this, you could also start combining your data from different sources together. So if you have data from Google Analytics and you would like to cross-match this data with a normal Excel file or with your database, you have the capability to do that, because now ClicData acts as a data warehouse for you. You connect your analytics, you connect your SQL database, and you can have both these metrics on your dashboard. Just to show you how to build up a simple chart on ClicData, you go ahead and you select that particular chart that you would like to build. So if you want to build a column chart, you drag and drop a column chart anywhere on the dashboard. You select from one of your uploaded data sources. So if I've uploaded my traffic data, I go ahead and I select my traffic data. Once I select my traffic data, I can choose what kind of measures I would want to display. So if I want to display, let's say, the bounce rate, I want to see the average bounce rate each month. So I go ahead and I drag and drop the bounce rate. I would like to see the average, so I select the average. And I would like to see this on a date, every month basis. So I go ahead and I select month and year. So I know the average bounce rate each and every month. This is my average bounce rate on the site each and every month. And now if I click save, my first widget is ready on the dashboard. I can further modify this widget if I want to filter the data. I would like to see, let's say, the bounce rate for a particular device or for a particular category. I can add a filter to it, and I can say I want the bounce rate only for users who are coming in from desktop or laptops. I can go ahead and select data, and I select desktop, so I see the bounce rate only for those particular users. Or if I would like to compare between two device categories, I can go back to my data. I can add my device category on the series, and now I can choose between two device categories. So I get a comparison between two of my device category. How does my bounce rate look on desktop, and how does the bounce rate look on mobile? And I can have a quick decision that it seems that the bounce rate on mobile is not so high like the bounce rate on desktop. It seems the mobile website is doing better, so I need to take some decisions to make my desktop website even better. Once you have the chart ready, you can keep on adding multiple charts on ClicData and set up your dashboard. So you have your dashboard on Google Analytics. As in the agenda, I mentioned that we'll be showing you today a bit about our region map and location map. So I'd like to focus on those two widgets. In order to create a region map and location map, I've just created two different data sets, primary data sets giving country details, geographical details. So I'm just going to upload those data sets right now. Yeah. So on the first data set, I have data for population in different continents, and I would like to display this using a map. So I'm going to create a dashboard which allows you to do that. And on the second data set, I have data for different addresses, and based on different addresses, I would like to pinpoint those exact location on the map and show the sales number for that particular addresses. So once you have uploaded those data sets, you go to the dashboard. Let's say click on Add New to create a new dashboard. So your map example, create. I'm going to start by adding a title to the dashboard. So this is my dashboard about population distribution. So I'm just going to add a title to it. This is my population distribution. In case you're working with a specific company and you would like to further enhance this dashboard by adding your image, go ahead and feel free to add an image, select a logo of your choice and place those logo on the dashboard. So go ahead and select any particular logo that you have already uploaded to ClicData and place that logo on the dashboard. Once you have the title ready, go ahead and select your location, your region map. So I go ahead and select the region map. I drag and drop the region map on the dashboard. I select one of my data set that I would like to display on that particular dashboard. So I go ahead and select my continent. Once I select the continent data set, I have a column that gives me the names of different continents, and I have a population. So I just drag and drop the continent and geography and the population on the values. And automatically ClicData recognizes the continent and accordingly assigns the population to the right continent. As you can see now, my data started being visible on the dashboard, and I can have a quick look of how is the population distribution in different continents. Now, I noticed further that while creating, I did not have data for Australia or New Zealand. It could be because my data was incorrect or I did not write it correctly. In such scenarios, you can always download the map reference and you can see what does the map reference look like. What does ClicData want your name to be? So I can have a quick look. ClicData wants Australia and New Zealand to be oceanic. And I can go ahead and check how is the data on my data set. It's called as Australia Oceanic. And that's the reason ClicData could not map this data. But in such cases, you can always go to mapping and you could see that this data is not mapped. You just have to type in the right name against which you would like to map this data. And once I have selected that, ClicData recognizes that in your case, Australia Oceanic is Oceania, and it automatically starts mapping your data set. Once you have done that, you can now choose to format your map, add a title. This is my population distribution. I don't need a subtitle at this moment. Further, at this moment, I'm using a grid which takes me a continuous grid which takes me from a lighter shade to a darker shade based on the percentage. But in case I want to change the percentage to number, let's say anything above a particular number, anything below 3 billion, I would like to have it highlighted in a different color, and anything above 4 billion, I would like to have it highlighted in a different color. I could choose that and I could say I want it to be based on a number. Or I would like to say anything between 0 to 80%, I want it in a separate color. So I'm going ahead and adding 80 and 100. So I have added two different bands. And now I specify that anything from 0 to 80 should be red, and then I can go on a darker shade. Thus, you can start modifying how your map looks like, and you can adjust to your own recommendation and how you want your map to be customized accordingly. This is more about the region map, how you can build up a region map. And while building up a region map, you're not limited to only the continent map. If you go to the properties, you have more than 100 maps on ClicData. You can select the map of your choice. You just click on the globe icon here to select the map that you like. We have maps from different cities, countries, map for different worlds, different states. So you just have to select the right map, and based on the map that you select, that particular map will be available for you to be used on your region map. Other than a region map, we also have a location map in case you don't want to highlight the entire region but pinpoint the exact location in case you're working in a logistic company and you have trucks going across the country delivering different materials. You would like to see, where is my truck at this particular point of time? Is it already reached the destination? Is it en route? In such cases, a location map works better. So what you need to do is, let's go ahead and create a location map. I select my location map. I drag and drop the map right here. While working with the location map, you can either work with latitudes, longitudes. You can either work with complete addresses, partial addresses, and based on what the content is on your column, ClicData automatically tries to recognize if it's an address, if it's a city, if it's a state, and accordingly plot your map on the dashboard. So let's say I want to display the sales. I go ahead and drag and drop sales. I have addresses. In case I need to be very precise, I can go ahead and add addresses. And ClicData now automatically recognizes my addresses and displays pinpoints at those particular location. In case I did not have addresses, but I had city, I can go ahead and drag and drop city, and ClicData will set it as a city. But in case it does not recognize, you just have to select, does my column contain city? I go ahead and select the city, and then ClicData will associate that particular column with the city and display your total sales number in those cities. So this is the first step, in which you just have to select the right columns and bind it to your dashboard. Once you have done that, you can again add filters to it in case you don't want to display all the information and display only a particular information. Similar to any other widget on ClicData, you can add filters to it, or you could work with formatting. So we work with we want users to have the ability to customize the map according to their own choice. So you're not limited to the style that you see by default on ClicData. You have multiple styles to choose from. We work with an external provider where you can get a JSON code for your map. So all you need to do is go to that particular website by clicking on the link. And in case you like one of the maps that they have displayed, so just go ahead and select that particular map that you like. You copy the code to clipboard, go back to ClicData, and replace the code on ClicData with that particular code. And as you can see, now the map is changed and it matches to the style that you have chosen. Apart from changing styles, you can also customize how your tooltip looks like. Do you want to display your tooltip only when hovering? Do you want to display when clicked? Do you want to change the font that is being displayed? Do you want to customize that font? Further, do you want different markers? By default, it starts off with a specific icon color and a specific icon, but you could also add conditions to it. So let's say anything above 500, I want them to be displayed in a specific color, and anything below 500, I would like to display it in a different color. So I could go ahead and say, on my sales column, I want to add a condition. If my value is less than 500, I would like to display, say, I'd like to display a happy icon with a particular image. And I add a second one. In this case, if it's greater than 500, I would like to display a pinpoint with a red color. So this is how you can work with different icons. You can set up different icons so you can easily identify if those regions need to be focused on, or if there's any action that needs to be taken. Once you do that, click on Save, and your map is ready on the dashboard. You can easily now share this dashboard with your end users or access it whenever you require to get a quick access of how your data is doing. If you're tracking trucks, you can understand if your trucks are going from one place to another and where your truck is at this particular moment. So this is more about the different maps that we work with ClicData. We spoke about Google Analytics. I also mentioned we'll talk a bit about data cleansing on ClicData in case you work with data sets, how you can modify this data, how you can cleanse the data. For this scenario, I'm just going to create a quick data set and try to give you different examples of what kind of data standardization we have. Let's say I have a data. I'm just going to create a data. Let's call it my sales data. As a sales distributor, I get data from different sales rep, and most of them give me the data correctly, but sometimes there are errors while typing the data or while entering the data, and there is inconsistency in my data. For instance, let's say I'm selling a particular car model. I type in as model type. Everyone, if I'm selling a Ford, everyone types in has a Ford, but in some cases, one person forgot to type in a D and he just wrote FOR. Or if I'm selling, let's say, a Hyundai, everyone has the exact name, but one of my colleague did not type in the entire name. He just typed in HYU, or someone uses a different concept and he just typed in HYUN. So I have inconsistency across my data, and if I try to display this data, I would have multiple car types. I have a Ford car type, I have a Hyundai, and I have FOR, I have HYU, HYUN. And it does not look good, or it does not give me the true picture of what is happening. I don't want to go ahead and manually update this data every time. I would like ClicData to understand or recognize that if it's HYU or if it starts with HY, it has to be Hyundai because I sell only that particular model. I don't have any other car models that start with HY. Or if I have something starting with FOR, it has to be a Ford because I don't have any other model types that start with that particular initials. So let's put up some numbers to it. These are my sales number. We're quickly going to add a few numbers to each and every model type. I click on Save. And this not only works on a dataset created on ClicData, you have the option to cleanse your traffic data or your database, any data that you connect to ClicData, you have these options to modify this data. So let's say you want to modify the sales data that is coming in. You select the data, you click on the transform icon next to it. And on the transformation icon, you have different options to create calculated columns, create filters, find and replace. Today, we're going to focus on standardization and normalization. So I go ahead and select standardize. I drag and drop standardize, and I select my column that needs to be cleansed. I select the model type. As mentioned earlier, I do not have anything. I don't sell a car model which is called as HYU. It has to be Hyundai. So I go ahead and say if it contains HYU, it has to be a Hyundai. Or if it contains FOR, it has to be a Ford. ClicData does the modification for you. You can see here what the data used to look like before and what it looks like after. Once you have specified this rule, every time the data comes into ClicData runs these rules so that you have a cleansed data set to be used on your dashboard or to be displayed to your clients. Apart from standardization, we also have an option to normalize your data. In case you're working with, let's say you're working with numbers and for sure you do not, sometimes someone might have forgotten to enter a number or someone might have forgotten to enter a date. In such cases, instead of having a blank date or a blank row, you would like ClicData to add a particular field to it or replace this null value with a particular number. In those cases, you could use normalize. You go ahead and select normalize, you select the column, and while working with the text column, you have the option to remove left spaces, you have the option to remove right spaces, you have the option to make an uppercase, a lowercase, so you can modify your data, and you have a cleansed data or a normalized data to work with. Or while working with numbers, as I mentioned, if you have empty values, you can say if the value is empty, I would like to set it to 0 instead of leaving it as empty. So I know that if there is no entry field, it has to be 0 and not null. Or in a different scenario, sometimes you sell a product and you know that the highest price of the product is 400, and if someone has typed in a value more than 400, it is incorrect, and you would like to fix this issue. In such cases, you could say fix high values. If the value is greater than 400, I would like to set this value as 400. In such case, you can see now I had a value which is greater than 400. ClicData modifies this value and puts it as 400. Or you could say I want to set it to nothing so that I can understand which of my fields are incorrect and I can accordingly take actions which are necessary to rectify this mistake. So this is about how ClicData helps you to standardize and normalize your data, what you could do on ClicData to make sure that your data is correct and it looks good before you actually go ahead and display it on the dashboard. We also mentioned on the topic that we'll talk a bit about a new feature that is coming on to ClicData. So I'd like to introduce you to a new feature which is about visibility. We had this request from a lot of our users who wanted to display a particular widget on the dashboard where when sharing with their clients based on certain condition, or who would like to simply have a widget on the dashboard for calculation purpose and not displayed to the end user. For such scenarios, we have a feature now which is the visibility on your widgets. I'm just going to show it on our development environment. Next week, this would be released for everyone, so everyone can take advantage of that feature. But just to show you how the feature looks like and what it is going to be, I'm going to show it on our development environment. So let's go ahead with the dashboard. And while creating a dashboard, I have a particular widget on the dashboard, or I have a number indicator that I want to display on the dashboard, but I don't want the end user to see the number indicator. So I go ahead and I create the number indicator, which is my total sales. So I just add a title to it. And this number is good for me because based on this number, I can now take decisions on certain elements that I need to design or not. But when I share this dashboard with my client, I don't want him to see total sales. I just want him to have access to yearly sales. What you need to do is you go to the properties, you go to the properties for that particular widget, and you click on disable. You have a new button right here, which is either visible or invisible. And if you click on invisible, now you have the widget on your dashboard. But now if you share this dashboard with your client or your colleagues, they would not have access to that particular widget. So I'm just going to create a live link, copy the live link, and go ahead and go to that particular live link. And now, as you can see on this live link, I do have my other widget that I designed, but I do not see my number indicator anymore. This could be one scenario that where you would like to either choose to display an indicator or a widget to the end user or not. And another scenario could be, let's say you're building a chart, and if your sales value is above a certain number, you would like to display a specific chart, or if it's below a certain number, you would like to display a new chart. So I'm just going to instead of a number indicator, I'm going to take a numeric input so I can show you the transition between different states. And I'm going to put a default value as 0. I have either 1 or 2. So let's say if someone selects one, I would like to display this chart, and I have another, I'm going to create another chart, which is my pie chart. Right on top of it, select my data set based on the type, let's say total sales. So if someone selects one on the number indicator, I would like to display the chart. Whereas if someone selects two on the number indicator, I would like to display the pie chart. In such cases, you can also switch between a invisible mode to a formula mode, and you can type in a formula. Basically, if the formula returns a true, we would display that widget. If it returns a false, we would not display that widget. So all you need to do is, based on the numeric input value, you say if this value is equal to 1, I would like to display the pie chart, so make it true, else make it false. Save. At this moment, because I've selected 1, this value is true. And I now go to the other chart and I do the same thing for my bar chart. In this case, it's opposite. If the value is 2, I would like to display the bar chart. If it's 1, I would not like to display the bar chart. So I write the same condition and I say if the widget numeric input value, if this is equal to 2, in this case, I would like to display it, else I don't want to display this. And I click on save. So now you have created a condition on your charts, and based on the condition, you either display that particular widget or not. Right now, since I'm still on the editing mode, I see both the widgets. But now if I go ahead and I go to the dashboard sharing piece of it, I go to the end users section, he goes to the dashboard. Right now, if he selects 1, he sees the bar chart, and as soon as he selects 2, he sees the column chart. Thus, you can now create advanced visualization based on different kind of selections. You could choose what kind of widget you would like to display to the end user. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type in the questions or send it over to us at support@clicdata.com. This is all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar. I've covered a few topics, as mentioned, about analytics, standardization, normalization, maps and location map, and a bit about a new feature that is coming on to ClicData. Oh, thank you so much for the time and attending the webinar. It's going to stop this webinar for now, and I'm going to come back to the webinar and take a few questions that I have. Thank you.